Would you calm down? Now read my lips. We gotta talk.
One of the hardest jobs in visual effects is making animals look realistic when they talk. It's a challenge effects studio Weta Digital has taken on. And if you look at Weta's talking fox from the 2021 movie The Green Knight, you can see just how far we've come. But getting from here
Oh, my, can't ask him that.
to here
To end his song is he saw fit.
wasn't easy. When the whole CG talking animal genre was born in the 90s, filmmakers faced one overarching challenge. How do you make a fundamentally unbelievable thing believable? Before, movies would just dub over the mouth movements of live animal actors or animatronic puppets, and later moved to compositing footage of live animals with 3D digital models of the animals' mouths. Over the years, studios like Weta have mastered the art of creating fully digital creatures that speak and express themselves in naturalistic ways. Mike was one of the lead animators on Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where the chimpanzee Caesar slowly learns to converse with humans.
No!
Human actors not only voiced, but actually played the apes, filming in motion capture suits that tracked their movements. Weta's animators then had to map those performances onto the digital ape models, making the apes deliver their lines and emote in ways that stayed true to the actors' choices without feeling too human. The very different anatomies of humans and apes often made it impossible to exactly translate those acting choices one for one in dialogue scenes. For example, apes have heavier brows and larger neck muscles, which had to move differently when the apes were speaking.
Making sure that we've got the wrinkling working well, how the muzzle inflates, how still he is when he says his line. Sometimes that isn't a dead translation.
Nowhere are the anatomical differences more extreme than in that mouth area, which is obviously crucial for dialogue. The muzzle on a chimpanzee, for example, is a lot more malleable and dexterous than a human mouth.
The apes have the ability to move their lips in such big ways compared to humans.
That meant that in some cases, animators had to blend some of the actors' human lip shapes onto the digital facial puppets of the apes. Like when pronouncing the phoneme sh, a chimp's lips extend into a long pucker to make this shape, which would distract from the actual dialogue. So Weta reined that in, tightening the mouth shape and keeping a fuller, more human lip. These lip and snout differences between humans and apes actually made Andy Serkis a perfect casting choice for Caesar, since he often articulates with his lips while delivering lines.
Andy can be an overperformer. He started in early days of motion capture when the fidelity wasn't as good. It didn't capture as much motion. So when you see him perform for Caesar, he does move his lips a little bit more than you'd typically expect when you actually talk to him in person.
Beyond the most visible parts of the mouth, Weta spends a lot of time looking at dental scans of actors' teeth and videos showing how the tongue moves inside the mouth.
All that internal structure inevitably drives how the surface of a mouth behaves, how the body behaves.
Apes and any other character or animal we're doing, we can actually take the geometry of their mouth, their teeth, their gums, their tongue, so that the same way we know how lips move over a human's skeleton, the same thing's going to happen with a dog, with an ape.
That close understanding of mouth anatomy came into play on The Jungle Book, where Weta had to make the giant orangutan King Louie not only talk, but sing. Animators had to figure out just how far to hold Louie's tongue back in his mouth when he sang his lines.
You'll see it's true, someone like me.
In the end, though, animation supervisor Paul Story said his team had to sell the singing performance with body motion first, like by carefully timing Louie's chest movements to show him breathing in between lines of song, and by coordinating his body movements with every little head motion, a lot of which was based on videos of Christopher Walken reading his lines. When Weta made dogs talk and sing for another live-action remake, Lady and the Tramp, animators kept an even lighter touch on the mouth area.
The difference between ape's mouth and a dog's mouth is, like a dog's got a long muzzle, and as soon as you start doing too much with the jaw, it suddenly becomes this over-animated performance. And if you've got really fast dialogue or somebody's singing a song, it quickly falls apart. The thing that we found with dogs and the fox in particular was if we pushed the performance out to the front of the mouth and then supported that performance in the rest of the face and all the way down into the body, I think that really kind of grounds it.
Well, this is goodbye, I think.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
This approach to the fox in The Green Knight helped guard the mystery around him. Since he talks in what feels like a dream state, director David Lowery wanted to keep viewers guessing.
Are you this man?
The dialogue was almost like, wait, did I just see that? Is that talking?
David wanted to keep it so subtle and such a character that you never really understood.
So the animators focused on making the fox's breath move through his body as he speaks, and on nailing the subtle movements in the nose, neck, and jowls. They even zoomed into parts of the body you wouldn't think of as being tied to speech, like timing the fox's vocal delivery with his footsteps and the twitching of his ears.
They're all folding into that little bit of dialogue. So the dialogue's maybe subtle on the front of the muzzle, but the whole character is speaking.
Including, maybe most importantly, through the eyes.
We've always known that the eyes are where you get a lot of the performance out of the characters.
That's why Weta's always improving the way it models its eyes, including parts that we don't even see on camera.
If you go back to Gollum, the eyes we had, it was 3 pieces of geometry with painted textures on them. Our eyes have so much depth in them now that you can actually fly right into them. We actually put all of the proper strings and muscles in, connecting the pupil and generating the iris and everything. We've talked to eye doctors, we've got eye scans.
Weta's animators have found that for dialogue scenes, nailing eye focus is key.
And so we're really specific about making sure that there's something even in the digital space that off camera that isn't even going to be in the shot that the characters are focusing on.
The studios also learned that our eyes are constantly making tiny movements to take in new pieces of a scene, even when we appear to be holding a steady gaze.
There's this extra little bit of motion that sits on top of all that detailed performance.
For emotional dialogue moments like this one, the team consulted with an eye surgeon to learn how moisture beads up on the eyeballs and runs into the fold between the lower lid and the eyeball.
The blood flow, as someone's crying, you get that actual reddening in the caruncula, and you really feel that emotion come through with all that extra detail.
That obsessive level of detail has made it possible to branch out into new types of talking animals, even the swimming kind, in Season 2 of The Umbrella Academy. After creating the chimp Pogo for the Netflix series, Weta was recruited to build a talking goldfish.
Your recovery has been an inspiration to us all.
This character, AJ Carmichael, was a new sort of challenge, according to animation supervisor Aidan Martin, since normal fish don't even have tongues, and there aren't many parts of a fish's face that would articulate the way we see with human speech. But Weta's animators found a solution, adding controls to AJ's lips and mouth so they could overlap, allowing a wider range of mouth shapes as he delivers his lines. It's all about hitting that sweet spot between what's anatomically possible and what looks credible on screen. Weta's mastered that balance to create talking animal characters that are every bit as expressive and believable as their human counterparts.
Do not come